Have you been married 23 years?
23 years.
4 kids.
Yeah.
And one of your daughter or your son just got married?
Brooklyn just got
Oh.
Who, by the way, cooked here once with us. He did such a great job.
I know, thank you. Yeah, it was a beautiful wedding. And as a mother, to see my son so happy means so much. What more can you ask for?
You can't ask for. What is that like for you in this moment?
Do you know, I think that the kids grow up so quickly, and it's about cherishing every moment. And we're a very close family. It's all about communication and being present as a parent. I love to work. I love what I do in fashion and beauty, but being a parent, being a good mom is my #1 job.
Everyone is talking about Brooklyn Beckham this week because a quiet family split surfaced in public. And the timing makes Victoria Beckham's recent words about motherhood cut deeper. This video lays out the vow renewal, the missing faces, the brothers' reactions, and how a celebration turned into a public break. In her interview, Victoria described 23 years of marriage and 4 children, placing parenting first and sounding steady about priorities in a busy house. That warmth set a baseline, which meant the silence that followed felt colder and more deliberate.
We knew the renewal had happened because they briefed it to People magazine in America. Initially, there was this view, certainly taken by the Beckhams, that hang on, they're being quite classy here. They're not going to release any pictures. They're not going to actually rub anyone's noses in it. They've renewed their wedding vows, and that's it.
Months later, a stream of vow renewal photos arrived across Instagram.
The photos of the vow renewal land, we just see this barrage of photos on their Instagrams. But, I mean, the Beckhams aren't there.
And not a single Beckham family member appeared in those images.
It was like, whoa, nobody expected this. In fact, the Beckhams described it themselves as an onslaught.
Because Brooklyn has basically just, in so many words, said, "You are no longer a part of my marriage or my life."
Absence became the headline because a curated gallery without the original family reads like a statement. Audience engagement keeps this discussion grounded, so add your view in the comments, press like, and tap the hype button to move the conversation forward. Community context helps when a story unfolds in public. People magazine quietly confirmed the renewal, and that low-key note preceded a coordinated photo drop with no David and no Victoria. The sequence created a sense of intent, which pushed viewers to look for causes rather than chance. Friends close to the situation described a deliberate choice, not a misunderstanding, and that tone shifted casual curiosity into scrutiny. A new inner circle seemed to form in plain sight, which changed how later posts would be read. A party that should have ended with congratulations became the first breadcrumb in a trail that fans began to follow. The calendar pointed back to a period of silence before the renewal, and that silence carried weight. Reports described weeks with no calls and no texts, including a missed public birthday nod to Victoria's father, which hardened lines on both sides. Each ordinary gesture that failed to appear added pressure.
You know, they're now firing shots at David and Victoria for being bad parents. Anyone who knows the Beckhams, and of course they've got their faults, they know they've got their faults, but the one thing everybody says about them is that they are great parents. And so, what did they do? Who knows?
Distance did not stop with parents because the brothers marked a more serious phase. Sibling friction adds a different charge inside any family and changes how everyone reads the larger story.
In May, whispers began that there was a feud directly between Cruz, 20-year-old Cruz, and Brooklyn. So Cruz had been apparently calling up all of the family's usual restaurants and asking whether Brooklyn was going to be there on the night that he was intending to attend an event. And so he would call and say, is Brooklyn going to be there? And would also ask the staff to let him know if his older brother was going to be in attendance and therefore he wouldn't go. And this is the first time we've sort of started to see a direct argument between the two brothers.
Cruz Beckham reportedly called ahead to the family's usual restaurants to check if Brooklyn would attend, then skipped nights if the answer was yes. That pattern turned private discomfort into a visible routine. On social media, Cruz appeared to shade his brother in comments, and public signals like that rarely happen by accident. The digital trail kept the narrative active even during quiet stretches.
Romeo and Brooklyn. They'd been incredibly close when they were children, but then when it came to the big D-Day, the wedding between Nicola Peltz and Brooklyn, Nicola had refused to speak to Romeo's then girlfriend Mia Regan, who was also a model and was incredibly beautiful, and Nicola felt quite threatened by her presence being there.
Romeo's tension reportedly tied back to Nicola declining to engage with his then girlfriend Mia Regan around the original wedding. Personal slights linger longer than logistics and color later choices. When a brother moves from "see you soon" to "I will not come," if you are there, a line gets drawn. That line echoed through the wider circle, and friendships began to look different under the same lights.
Play in the garden together. They were real mates. He wasn't there. In fact, he didn't speak to Jack. Then, you've got Rocco Ritchie wasn't there. So no, there is nobody in Brooklyn's life anymore who was there before her.
Jack Ramsey, Gordon Ramsay's son and a longtime friend, did not appear at the renewal and reportedly is not in Brooklyn's life as before. Childhood proximity gave way to a new mix of people around the couple. Rocco Ritchie also did not appear, and people close to the Beckhams described a heavy sadness as the inner circle began to resemble colleagues and creators. Photos showed familiarity without history.
So instead you have all of these, you have a makeup artist, a content creator, you have, it was kind of like a lineup of staff, like the paid help were the guests. And so that also prompted a real sadness for the Beckhams. We're like, he doesn't even see his friends anymore. And like, what is going on?
The guest list leaned toward a makeup artist, a content creator, and other team members, which suggested proximity and convenience had replaced milestones and memories. Parents who remember school runs read those images with pain. Money entered the picture next, and the meaning of each choice shifted. Financial expectations create pressure, and pressure turns small decisions into loud signals. Brooklyn grew up in a home that emphasized earning, including a cafe shift at 14, while the Peltz household runs on a billionaire rhythm where resources smooth problems. Those rhythms collide when boundaries meet generosity. Reporting indicated that Nelson Peltz expected the Beckhams to contribute toward the couple's home, and when that money did not arrive, the gap widened. Autonomy on one side began to read like a lack of solidarity on the other. No single act crowned a villain, yet the pressure map became clear. One house heard stand on your own, the other heard stand with us, and interpretation started driving the story.
So July comes around and the third sibling takes center stage, that being Harper 7. It was her 14th birthday coming up, and if Brooklyn was going to ignore that, that would be the final straw for the Beckhams, particularly for Romeo and Cruz, who are incredibly protective over her.
Tension rose again around Harper 7's birthday in July, a date that matters in this family. The day carried risk because silence would leave a mark that lasts longer than headlines.
So the big day rolls around, and Brooklyn does indeed wish her a happy birthday, but it's incredibly pointed and obviously very crafted. So what you have here is a simple picture of Brooklyn, Harper, and he's made sure to get Nicola in the picture as well, so that there's no question towards his alliances in this whole scenario. And it's actually a picture taken from the last known picture actually of Brooklyn and his younger sister, who he was incredibly close with, at Victoria Beckham's fashion show in September.
Brooklyn posted a birthday photo that included Nicola and came from an earlier event, and the selection looked like optics rather than outreach. The frame soothed the feed and did not bridge feelings.
Brooklyn was like not just a big brother to Harper, but like almost like a kind of little dad figure, because he was 14 when she was born, 12, 13 when she was born, and David was playing football away a lot. So he was kind of this male figure, much older male figure in her life, and she adored him.
Romeo and Cruz, protective of their sister, saw a tidy post instead of a real call. Public goodwill lasted for an hour while private distance remained in place. People close to the family felt confirmed in a difficult truth as presentation kept winning while connection kept losing.
So, that it was being briefed out by the Brooklyn and Nicola's PR machine that, you know, they're wishing her a happy birthday. But of course, to David and Victoria, it was like, well, you've done this as a publicity stunt. You know, you've done it because you know that your PR is not in a great place.
London carried the weight, while Los Angeles and summer travel looked calm on the grid.
Brooklyn is basically saying goodbye to his family in so many ways.
David and Victoria would get on a plane now and go and get him. Like they believe that he's being brainwashed by Nicola. He's being referred to, you know, amongst the clan, the Beckham clan, as the hostage, because they think that she is holding him hostage, and that, you know, she is controlling him to the point where he can no longer make his own decisions.
The second wedding carousel tightened the knot with roughly 48 images shared by Nicola that excluded the Beckhams entirely. Counting frames turned silence into data that could not be waved away. Viewers noticed Nelson Peltz standing where David often stood in earlier seasons of Brooklyn's life, serving as mentor and steady presence. Placement inside family photos always signals a role. Clothing choices carried signals too, since Victoria once imagined sewing for her son's wedding, while the renewal leaned on Valentino and a dress from Nicola's mother. The styling read like a handoff between houses. Sources close to the Beckhams reportedly used the nickname "the hostage behind closed doors" to describe Brooklyn, a stark phrase meant to capture a son who felt guided and unreachable. The word expressed powerlessness more than judgment.
And this isn't the Brooklyn they know. You know, the Brooklyn they know is the Brooklyn that adored his grandmothers and who loved his little sister, who loved his little brothers, who loved his mum and dad, and loved being part of this big family. He loved his cousin. Doesn't anymore. Like, that's what they just cannot get their head around.
Fair or not, the label revealed how lost his parents felt, because their memory holds the brother who doted on Harper, visited grandmothers, and ran beside David in the park. That earlier version no longer appeared in public. Nicola's feed stayed affectionate and full of hearts, yacht moments, and soft light, which built a second timeline where love looked easy. Meanwhile, cousins, childhood friends, and routine sibling contact thinned out.
So over the summer, both families, the Peltzers and the Beckhams, have been having a lovely time. They've both been on their mega yachts, sailing around Europe. You know, we've seen posts from Nicola saying how much she loves Brooklyn and her family, and very lovey-dovey, despite the fact that her husband, Brooklyn, has seriously fallen out with his side of the family. And it's all very much sort of, we're a unit, we're sailing around on our massive yacht.
Observers began to read the summer at sea with the Peltz family as soft power, a gentle reminder that a new unit could meet every need. The Beckhams grieved the sense that old roots had been set aside. A whisper campaign suggested an unhappy childhood, according to reporting, while friends of the family countered with memories of strict but present parenting. Dueling narratives kept comments alive. Those competing stories gave each side a photo or a moment to point toward while moving no one across the divide. Without direct statements, the public kept reading tea leaves. The persistence of the friendship break surprised many people, since group chats often invent a compromise after tempers cool. In this case, silence became policy, and policies rarely change without a deliberate move. A steady truth sits in the center of the story, because a son can protect his marriage while staying connected to the people who raised him. The renewal, as presented, looked like a reset that placed the old village outside the gate. Fans split into two camps, one reading a willing embrace of a new ecosystem, the other seeing pressure shaping every choice, until resistance felt impossible. Both interpretations relied on the same set of images. People close to the Beckhams share a simple line, saying one call would bring them to him immediately. Quiet promises like that do not trend, yet they decide how families survive long stretches. The next move belongs to Brooklyn, because the branch that shifted needs to bend back if the tree is going to feel whole to those waiting. Small and private often works best under public attention. A dinner without photos, a long call to his grandfather, or a plain hour with his brothers could reset the tone before the next holiday turns distance into tradition. Repair favors simple plans repeated over time. If nothing changes, brand work and yacht photos will continue, and birthdays will stack up while the ache thickens around missed rituals. A public rift hardens into an archive when search results carry the wound. A vow renewal usually honors endurance, yet this one felt like a reboot with a new cast. families struggle when they watch a premiere they never got to attend. To the Beckhams, the message resembled a door closing on years of shared routines that held the house together. To the Peltz side, the same act may have read like a clean start after months of noise. A reunion remains possible, although the current path does not point to an easy fix, because glossy carousels cannot do the work of quiet apologies. Private boundaries restore trust faster than public gestures. The practical path forward favors fewer posts and more calls using calendars to plan ordinary Tuesdays and family weekends. Logistics calm tempers, and consistent logistics build trust. Attention will drift as news cycles turn, while the people involved still choose whether to send a message first or wait. Trading curated images for conversations that sting now and heal later tends to work. Rewatching Victoria's interview shows a parent trying to raise grounded kids in a loud world, which explains why many viewers see their own families in this story. Familiar pain travels without famous names. The public did not hear the private words that led here, and the only trail available is the one left in posts and press. That trail ended, for now, in 48 images with a sharp edge for one side. If a bridge still exists, it likely starts with Brooklyn choosing a quiet day, making a call, and letting that call stand on its own. Private steps matter most when a family needs room to breathe. People will keep arguing whether influence, pride, or money did the most damage, while the evidence suggests a blend that built pressure from several directions. Long relationships usually come apart by degrees. A son can protect his marriage and still honor his parents when both homes refuse to turn affection into leverage. The balance looks simple in theory and demands steady choices in practice. Everything here draws from public reporting and public statements, and any allegations remain allegations unless proven, which keeps the frame fair while feelings run hot. Accuracy protects real people once the scroll ends. Families watching this unfold know how one decision can spiral into years of quiet that feel heavier than expected when holidays arrive. One call can change the direction of a decade. For now, Brooklyn and Nicola present a united front while the Beckhams hold their line, and the rest of the world keeps reading captions like clues. Without new posts that include both sides, the reading does not change. When lessons arrive in public, kind outcomes happen in private because applause never healed a wound and comments never raised a child. The next move should happen off camera for the same reason the first move hurt on camera. If a reunion comes, it will not bring fireworks, since genuine repair prefers a plain photo that proves nothing and a dinner that ends with a plan for next month. Quiet repetition does the heavy lifting. Until that day, the story sits in a vow renewal that cut old ties, a brotherhood that needs time, and parents waiting beside a phone that used to ring every Sunday. Waiting counts as work when love remains. The more people watch, the louder the pressure feels, yet the solution grows quieter, which confuses outsiders who expect a statement to fix things. Someone will decide that love weighs more than optics, and that choice will look ordinary from outside the room. Signs of progress will not be cinematic, since a lunch in London without a caption or a game in Miami with an unposed laugh can rebuild more trust than a polished post. Small bricks, stacked carefully, carry a surprising amount of weight. Many viewers will still choose sides, while some families choose outreach each month and others step back for a season, both routes carrying pain. Either route can lead home if kept steady and honest, and the choice depends on temperament more than fame. Closing with a simple ask keeps the focus on the story rather than spectacle. So add your perspective in the comments, press like if this helped, and hit the hype button to help people who follow this family find the video. Consistent voices bring clarity while the people involved work in private.